The Carolina Panthers just shocked their own fan base, not with a win, but with how much chaos and promise they packed into 2 weeks. This team sits at 0-2, and every mistake feels bigger, every play feels louder, because everyone knows what is at stake. The surprising part is this season does not look dead at all. You can feel something stirring under the surface, something that might flip the story faster than anyone expects. The most explosive talking point is their quarterback. Bryce Young gave fans flashes that looked like the future and mistakes that nearly broke the game open for the other side. His line, 35 of 55, 328 yards and 3 touchdowns, sounds electric. But then you remember the early fumble and the late interception that left points on the field. Those numbers tell a story of a quarterback who is still trying to settle into the speed of the league while carrying a whole franchise on his shoulders. That is why we have to start here. Bryce Young is not just the headline, he is the pressure point for the entire season. His growth will decide whether Carolina digs out of this slow start or watches it snowball into something worse. So let's break him down play by play, decision by decision, to see if what we saw against Arizona was progress or warning signs that cannot be ignored. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Panthers and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 300 likes on this video. Carolina Panthers fans should be watching the tiny moments before the snap, because those small reads tell the biggest truths about Bryce Young right now. The real drama is not how many yards he racks up, but how quickly he sorts through defenders when looks on the field change. But here's the twist. Those split-second choices are what turn promising drives into pressure-cooked situations where every throw feels risky. In his 3rd season, Young shows clear strengths and specific habits that matter more than raw arm talent. He hits timing routes when his feet stay steady, yet he sometimes pauses on his first read instead of cycling through options, and that pause invites contact or forces awkward throws. When protection breaks down his rhythm, his placement drifts and windows close, so the difference between a big play and a punt often comes down to footwork and read speed, not daring throws. All of that points straight at the next question. Are these habits something Bryce must fix alone, or are they driven by how the offense prepares and protects him? The answer lives in snap timing, line calls, and the center quarterback exchange. And the next, we will examine the offensive line and communication that shape every decision Bryce makes. Which factor matters most will tell us how quickly this team can turn closer games into wins. The Carolina Panthers' offensive line has quietly become the deciding factor in whether drives end with points or mistakes. Fans saw how one bad snap or missed call can flip a whole series, and that has been the hidden theme through the first 2 games. Austin Corbett's return was supposed to settle things, but the timing between center and quarterback still feels shaky, and that slight delay shows up every time pressure collapses the pocket. The chemistry issues have forced Bryce Young into rush throws and made every fumble feel like a matter of timing, not just protection. Veterans like Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis were brought in to give this group stability. Yet when blitzes hit from the edge or stunts loop inside, the unit sometimes reacts late, turning a normal play into a broken one. That chain reaction hurts rhythm and takes away chances to lean on the run game when they need balance most. Fixing this is not about wholesale change, it is about sharp execution and consistent calls at the line. If this group can clean up snap timing and communication, it will give Bryce the extra beat to step up and find his receivers instead of dodging defenders. The next piece of the puzzle is how they use the run game to keep defenses honest, which brings us to the curious case of Chuba Hubbard's limited carries and what it means for the offensive plan. Carolina Panthers fans kept asking the same question after the final whistle: why did Chuba Hubbard barely touch the ball in a game that begged for balance? The script seemed to call for steady carries to slow down the pass rush, yet the ground game felt like an afterthought. The shocking part is that Hubbard still produced when given the chance, turning short runs into chain movers and showing the burst that should have kept drives alive. Every time the ball stayed in Bryce Young's hands, the defense pinned their ears back and made life harder. A stronger commitment to the run would have taken pressure off the quarterback and controlled the clock, letting Carolina dictate tempo instead of chasing the game. Even with Jonathan Brooks waiting in the wings, Hubbard's proven production should make him the steady piece that sets up play action and opens space for the passing game. The big question now is whether Dave Canales will adjust in Week 3 and trust his backs to carry more of the load. If we see a jump in Hubbard's carries early against Atlanta, that will tell us the staff is serious about protecting their quarterback and balancing the attack. But when you throw that much, your receivers become the next story, and one rookie just made a case to become the go-to weapon. Carolina Panthers receivers are suddenly making defenses pay attention in a new way, and that shift started with one major mismatch on the field. Rookie Teteroa McMillan has shown the size and timing to win contested catches and to pull coverage away from other routes, and that kind of attention forced the Cardinals to change their looks during the game. He finished with 100 yards in the outing that put opposing coordinators on notice. This room is not a one-player show, though, and how each target is used will decide if the offense can turn clutch chances into points. Jatavian Sanders has the hands and route savvy to move chains on third down. Hunter Renfrow brings the savvy separation and short area control that converts tight windows, and Bryson Tremaine gives a big body option on jump balls and special team snaps. At the same time, Xavier Legette has flashes but needs cleaner technique and more reliable catches to avoid leaving drives empty-handed. Coaches must now thread play designs to these matchup truths if they want consistent production. More play action from under center, quick inside reads to Sanders, and using McMillan on seam or boundary fades will create easier targets for the quarterback and mask protection gaps. If the staff shows a smart plan to exploit these alignments early in the game, that will force defenses to stop cheating and open the rest of the offense. Next, we will look at who is making those play calls and whether the staff will adapt to unlock these matchups. What happens in the coach's box has been quietly shaping the Panthers' early story, and right now those choices feel like the clearest way to fix what ails this team. Play calling is not just about one trick or one play, it is about sequencing, trust, and timing. When the plan on paper does not match the players on the field, the result is chaos, and the fans notice every time the offense looks confused instead of confident. The staff is juggling too many moving parts at once, from personnel substitutions to timeout use to in-game adjustments that should land before a drive starts. There is a real argument for simplifying calls early and letting the offense settle into basic wins before chasing splash plays. Letting a trusted coordinator handle the play calls would free the head coach to manage clock and matchups, while giving the offense a cleaner rhythm to operate within. If that change happens, we should see quicker decisions at the line, fewer long-developing routes into heavy pressure, and clearer answers when defenses try to force the Panthers out of their plan. How the staff answers this question will decide how much pressure the other units must absorb, because the defense cannot be the team's only steady hand for long. If coaching choices tighten up and the offense plays with a clearer plan, the defense will not need to bail out every mistake. The Carolina Panthers defense became the stabilizing force in a shaky start, holding the opponent to 20 points after early offensive miscues and forcing longer down situations that slowed drives. The secondary stayed tight in coverage and tackled well, while the interior line consistently filled run gaps to prevent big plays. The lingering issue is a lack of steady edge pressure, which leaves the unit too reliant on coverage and vulnerable in late downs, especially with injuries thinning the rotation. If the pass rush develops without sacrificing run defense, this group can create better field position and more turnover chances, making Week 3 a key test of whether their progress can hold. So here's the question for Panthers fans, and for everyone watching: can Bryce Young turn potential into dominance before expectations get overwhelming? How will his leadership influence the locker room and the defense's confidence? Drop your thoughts in the comments, predict his breakout moments, and keep an eye on every snap, because the story of Carolina's future is being written right now, and every play matters.